course, education has been a passion for me all along, my entire life. I think even as a student in high school, I used to look for opportunities to teach classes which were, below my, class standard. So when I was in 11th, I would teach classes in 8th, 9th. I used to request teachers to give me a chance. And of course, after going through my own education, I chose this career in education. Your job is, to me, it looks like it's tougher than what we do at university level. In continuously changing landscape of knowledge today, preparing students for tomorrow and providing them that base, which you have to do, is a fairly tough job. You have to balance so many things, including expectations of parents, expectations of society, expectations of the country. It's quite a job. Anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about today is what are we confronted with today as opposed to the decades that have gone by, or the period in which we got our own education. What is so different? Why is there so much of churn in terms of how education should change? Now, digital technology, which is now pervasive and has gone into almost every single field that you can think of, had changed how rapidly we can communicate with the rest of the world, how we can scale up things, how we can scale up skills, how we can scale up production, how we can scale up transport, anything that you can think of. There is now a technology that is helping in scaling up and bringing the whole world as a village, as we say. What are the consequences of that on education today? So first of all, if we just take a step back and look at how did education come to be the kind of education it is today, the foundations of this education predate the period in which printing press was invented. This whole idea of going to the classroom and writing certain information on the board so that students can copy that and take it home actually originated from the idea that the information wasn't readily available. Books were not available. And therefore, certain bit of information had to be conveyed, which was with the teachers, to students, and they could copy it and go home with that information and try to digest that information. As systems tend to gather sort of momentum, that system gathered momentum over a period of time, over decades, over centuries actually. And now, all of a sudden, that information is readily available and it's at fingertips of everybody. We are confronted with this basic sort of foundation of this educational method that we have, that do we need it? Do we need that kind of teaching at all? And if we don't, what kind of teaching should it be? What kind of education should it be? So one thing is very clear, that the information-centric education that we have, information-centric education has to change. When education is readily available, we don't need to put that in our classrooms. We can point to that and help students navigate that information. Now, when it comes to navigating that information, this is far more critical today than anything else. I'm sure that all of us have that experience. When I say it is far more critical, it's because now all of a sudden there is bombardment of information. From every quarter, there is bombardment of information. Today's students are looking at resources of information all around them, whether it's telephone, whether it's their cell phone, or their computer, or school, or relatives calling from all over the world, or friends that they have got connected to on social media. Doesn't matter, it's a plethora of things which are information channels. Now, a young child is certainly not designed to sieve through this information ably and only keep the information that is good or right, or whatever you would like to give an adjective to it. So our first job, to me, it seems like that, okay, if we stop giving information in the classroom, we also have to now enable our students to think about how to sieve through information, how to look at the right information, and that is far more critical. In engineering and in science and physics, there is a term called signal to noise ratio, SNR, we call it, and it's a very, very sort of important parameter that you monitor in signal processing when you do experiments all the time. So signal to noise ratio just talks about that if your signal is of the same level as noise, there is no way to get that signal, okay? And there is no way to put any credibility to that signal if it is at the same level of the noise. So signal has to be much bigger than the noise. And that's measured by this ratio, SNR, signal to noise ratio.